have a hearing condition which makes certain sounds excruciating. I definitely never thought I would share about this publicly, and I absolutely could never have imagined healing it until now. I'm making this video for anyone out there who might be suffering from the same condition, or maybe you know someone in your life who's suffering from the same condition and you thought you would have to live with it forever. This video is for you. There is hope and there is healing. So make sure you stick around to the end to get some coping tools and some ways to manage. Let's dive in. There are several different types of hearing conditions, and the hearing condition that I have is called misophonia. This is the condition where certain sounds become unbearable. They basically activate the part of our brain that goes into fight or flight. If you hear a ringing in your ears or something like that, that is not misophonia. So make sure that you don't just go ahead and self-diagnose. Make sure to talk to a professional or someone else who can help you diagnose this properly, because the last thing you want to do is self-diagnose and assume that you have this condition when really you have another condition. The literal translation of misophonia is hatred of sound, which I actually really don't like this because I love sound. I'm actually obsessed with sound. I have been a professional musician for many years, and sound is an integral part of my reality. Also, it kind of sounds like a phobia of miso soup, which I just don't like the name, okay? Misophonia is a neurological condition which involves the central nervous system and is related to the way our brain processes certain sounds. This can cause significant stress and can absolutely affect our daily lives. These sounds are usually repetitive and common. Sounds like chewing, breathing, tapping, things like that. My main trigger has been the sound of chewing, although over the years I have discovered I do have some other triggers, which I'll share in another video, because honestly, it's pretty vulnerable the way that this condition has affected my life. To people in our lives, our reaction to these trigger sounds may seem irrational, but let me explain it like this. Imagine you're having a dinner party with a bunch of friends. Most people's point of focus would be on the sounds of people's voices, on the conversation that's taking place. For people with misophonia, it's as if the sound of the chewing is just turned way up, as if that sound is living in your eardrum. Because of the way our brains are wired a little differently, our brain is processing that sound as if we are in danger. So it activates the fight or flight in our brains. Imagine the sound of someone with just chewing with their mouth open, and that sound is just way up right in your fucking ear. No joke. Not comfortable, not fun. Didn't choose this. Don't love it. Although this condition started to show up for me around the age of 11, which turns out is very common, I didn't know there was a name for it, and I didn't know there were others living with it until I was about 30. That means I spent 20 years of my life feeling like I was crazy. Honestly, when I was 11, I started wearing earplugs at the dinner table, and everyone knew to turn the music up. It was embarrassing, but it was absolutely impossible for me to sit at the dinner table with my family unless I plugged my ears. It became unmanageable. For me, my whole body contracts, my heart starts racing. I mean, I can't focus on anything else because it's just the sound of the eating, the chewing, like right in my ear. It's just literally, it's like that. So the first step in my healing began when I realized there was a name for this condition, that there were others suffering as well. I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw a picture of someone covering their ears, much like the thumbnail for this video. And immediately that image drew me in because I thought, what is that? And it said something about the hatred of sound. So of course I clicked on that, read the whole thing, jaw dropped, read the Wikipedia right away. Every single telltale sign, like onset at 11 years old, these types of sounds, these types of triggers, these types of reactions. It was me, to the T. This gave me a huge sense of relief to know, in fact, I was not crazy, and this is a real, legitimate condition. In fact, the more I learn about it, the more I understand that this is actually a trauma response. So for those of you out there who have this condition and may feel some of the shame or the craziness around it, just know that it isn't your fault. That's really important, okay? Not your fault. Although there was a huge sense of relief after having discovered there was a name and there were others like me, I still felt extremely ashamed of this condition because the people around me didn't really understand how real this was. And it wasn't really until a few years ago that I started to tell some of my friends about it. I mean, most of my best friends did not know that I had this condition until a few years ago. There's just so much shame around it. If someone in your life has misophonia, just know that this is a real, can be often debilitating condition. But I will say that step 2 on my healing journey was starting to open up about it, starting to tell my friends about it, because then I discovered that 4 of my dear friends have it. Okay, so here's the amazing turnaround my life took very recently. It's really one of those magical moments that changes someone's life forever. One of those like left turns, like nothing will ever be the same. Had it been 5 minutes later, everything would be different. I'm in Los Angeles on my way to the airport. I pack some pizza to eat on the way. I get into the Uber and I ask the driver, do you mind if I eat my pizza in the car? Because as someone with misophonia, eating in an enclosed space like this would be absolute torture. So I just have that awareness. He looks back at me and he says, well, it's funny you should ask. So he goes on to tell me that 2 days ago, he saw a hypnotist because he's been suffering from a condition called misophonia. I was going to be the first person who was going to eat in front of him since having this hypnosis session. So I'm like, whoa. We're both like, whoa, what are the chances? Like one of those whoa moments, whoa. I take a bite of my pizza. I'm feeling very nervous because, of course, eating in front of someone with misophonia in a quiet car, again, would be just, we don't want that. Eating my pizza, and he has the sweetest, love-filled look in his eyes. I could see that there was a sense of open-hearted connection. Lo and behold, not only was he not triggered by the sound of my eating, he felt love and connection, which I'll explain in another video, but basically that is what can happen when we begin to heal misophonia through hypnosis. It's actually reprogramming our brains for love and connect. Wow. So obviously this is an extremely transformative Uber ride course. I book an appointment with the hypnotist. Everyone has their own healing journey. For my Uber driver, Angel, it took him 2 sessions. For me, it's been a much more involved process. It's been hard for me to have this focused time for my healing, so it's taken me a little bit longer. Even though it's taken me a little bit longer, the changes that I'm seeing in my life are phenomenal. I've had several meals with my family now without earplugs, without even music. I'm hearing the sound of the conversation. The sound of the chewing is somehow turned down, a background sound, just like it is for most people probably. This process has been excruciating for me in many ways because it's almost like I had to live through the most difficult aspects of this condition in order to get through my healing. But again, that doesn't mean that the healing would be like that for you. And even if it is, the fact that I'm here now, sleeping next to my person, I wasn't able to sleep next to my person for many years. I'm able to share meals with my loved ones. I'm able to cohabitate with people without having major anxiety from their sounds in different rooms. This has been transformative to the core. When I get to the other side fully, I'm definitely becoming a hypnotist because this shit is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now that I understand more about misophonia and now that I'm deep on my healing journey, I realize how it affected every aspect of my life. It has been immeasurably healing, immeasurably transformative in every department, from dating and love and romance to friendships to cohabitation to relationships with my family. It has changed everything. Although hypnosis worked for my Uber driver, Angel, and it's working for me, that doesn't mean that it will work for everyone. There is no single treatment that works for everyone, but there are certainly some coping mechanisms, some tools, and some ways to manage. So I'm going to share those with you now. I would say that step 1 to the healing journey is educating yourself and your loved ones. Let them know what you're going through. Maybe show them this video so they understand the extent to which you're suffering. Understanding is step 1. Having a professional like a therapist in your corner may be supportive. For me, talk therapy didn't help me resolve, but it did help me talk through some of the issues I was having around misophonia. One daily management tool is earplugs. I know this sounds basic, but I have earplugs in every single pocket of every single bag and every single jacket. I have a variety of different types of earplugs. In addition, I often carry around my noise canceling headphones. They help me feel like I'm in a safe space, so those are pretty much with me wherever I go. Even though I'm on my healing journeys, sometimes if I'm having a tired day or a hard day, I find that my anxiety goes up and the misophonia is triggered more. I put those sound canceling headphones on and I just feel like I'm in more of a safe space. Join support groups. This is something I discovered quite recently as well. There are numerous groups on Facebook, for instance, where you can talk to others around the world who also have misophonia. I had to be careful with these groups because I would read about other people's triggers and then I kind of felt like I would take on those triggers. So I really moderated my use around those support groups, but that can be really helpful if you just want to make some friends who understand, just like knowing someone who understands. That makes a huge difference, right? Binaural beats. Okay, I use this all the time. I'll put on my noise canceling headphones, put on some binaural beats. If I'm feeling irritated by some sound or I'm feeling that anxiety come up, I just pop those on. Nice, calming, soothing binaural beats to kind of block out the other sound and come back to my breath. Speaking of breath, meditation. Meditation is helpful as well. Sound deprivation tank. That's a vibe. It's not for me. I didn't like it. Got water in my ears. It was weird. But if you're really seeking some of that relief, some quiet, a sound deprivation tank can be really interesting. For me, I prefer going into nature to hear nature sounds, to go by the ocean, just to allow my brain to relax and decompress from any kind of the trigger sounds. Last but not least, hypnosis. Hypnosis is obviously working for me and it worked for my Uber Angel driver. Check out on YouTube. Maybe there's some videos, some hypnosis videos for misophonia. I will become a hypnotist soon. So make sure you stay in touch with me, stay connected, share comments in the comments section so that I can let you know when I am in a position to support others. Okay, so there are some coping tools in the meantime, but the main takeaway is I want you to know that you're not alone. When you have this condition and you don't understand what it is and you don't know others who have it and your family doesn't understand it, you can feel kind of crazy. So first thing is you're not alone. Second thing is you are abso-fucking-lutely not crazy. Third thing is, and this is for another video down the line, that this is actually a trauma response. So it's not your fault. And that's really important to remember. You're not crazy and it's not your fault. Thank you for being a part of this vulnerable journey. Again, I never thought that I would share about this, but I couldn't help but share it because a lot of people out there, 15% of the population in the United States is suffering from this condition. And there's not much information out there about the possibility to heal this condition. And so I wanted to be that beacon of hope. And that reminder, side note, this is a new channel. And when you hit the subscribe button, it actually makes a massive difference. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Just go ahead, hit the button. Apparently we need to say it 3 times. Hit the subscribe button. Side note, I couldn't get through an entire video and not talk about cats. Did you know that cats also are very sensitive to sound? So first thing is I think I might be part cat. Second of all, if you're cohabitating with a cat, make sure you're aware of the level of sound that you're listening to because you're not the only one in the room, okay? There might be a cat and they might be like, turn that shit down. Okay, turn that shit down. Love cats. Okay, bye.